Good morning, everybody. It's RJ back with another video. So let's get to it. Coming to you face to face today because I'm going to go over the recap of my attendance at the Philly show today and the YouTube meet and greet that happened afterwards. So everything I show you today is going to come from the YouTube, or I should say, the Philly show, my Philly show attendance, except for the trivia prizes. They're just things I've had that you get to enjoy. So my random Mike Schmidt item of the day from 1995, the Hall of Fame induction day, official, cachet. I guess they call these first day cover envelopes that are stylized. Something I didn't have in my collection. Wasn't really interested in going after per se, but since it was at the show, there's a guy who sells Phillies things all the time, and I really like to support him, so I make sure I buy a couple things once in a while from him. And I saw this here, and it was a little bit more than I probably wanted to spend, but I'm happy to have it. It's a cool thing for my Mike Schmidt collection. He threw in, because of the price of that one, I asked him to throw in this. He had these listed for $5, but I got him to toss it in for free. I have mentioned this card during my appearance at Hobbypalooza. I had mentioned that this existed. It is a card from the 2014 All-Star Game featuring Charlie Brown. And again, I've seen these on the bay graded at PSA 10s, selling for like $50. I think it's ridiculous to even bother to get this thing slabbed. It's just cool to have in my collection. He's not affiliated with any team in this one. He's just Charlie Brown. But again, it's a really cool little piece of baseball as Americana. When you've got Charlie Brown picture on it. That is my random baseball item of the day. Now, pardon me for interrupting your video, but it occurred to me that I had forgotten to insert a trivia question for this video. So, today's trivia question. Currently, there are 4 balls required for a walk. That wasn't always the case. That number started at 9 and slowly worked its way down to 4 over several years. In what year was the first year that Major League Baseball decided that only 4 balls were required for a base on balls or a walk? That is your trivia question, which you're playing for 3 cards of three Hall of Fame cards from the 1983 All-Star Donruss cards, the 3x5. Gary Carter, Mike Schmidt, and Carlton Fisk. 1983 Donruss All-Star cards. That's what you're playing for. All you need to do is send me an email with a guess, and you'll be entered into the contest. I will include my email in the description below, along with a repeat of that question. You will have today and tomorrow. I will include my email in the description below. You will have today and tomorrow to answer. We will pick a winner on Sunday, all right? Good luck to everybody on that one. Now, back to your regularly scheduled video. To show off a couple things I picked up at the show. I always go with the intent of picking up some vintage Phillies things. That's what I've begun to try and do. Obviously, some Mike Schmidt things when I can, and other just random things of awesomeness. But I was able to pick up a couple things. So, one guy had like a dollar box, or I should say, an inexpensive box of non-slab but loose 55 Bowman, the TV version. So I thumbed through the box, found a couple Phillies. Let me show off my Philly pickups, the basic Philly pickups. So how do I want to do this? Let's do it this way. Bob Morgan, Phillies. A lot of these guys, if you're a Phillies fan, you barely know. Steve Ridzik. And of course, Granny Hamner. Everybody knows Granny Hamner. But sometimes I fail to pay attention when I'm thumbing through cards and just setting them all aside. I accidentally got a second Rinzik, so I might like send that out to a Philly fan someday. But the two big ones that I wanted to get was I saw this Del Ennis, and I think I'm going to start putting together a Del Ennis basic Topps run and Bowman run or whatever. Just the Del Ennis run of cards, because he's a well-loved Philly. And this was there for an inexpensive price. And another one that was a Hall of Famer that I figured I could pick up, well, that he had, and I figured, well, gee, I might as well snag this. Edith Slaughter on the Yankees, 55 Bowman, but it's a playing era Hall of Fame card, so I figured, why not? You know, if it's going to be there, and he's got it for a really, nice price, I can get it slabbed, make this part of my awesome Hall of Fame collection. I think I do it. The other thing I'm always trying to do is I'm working on a slabbed version, PSA slab, of every vintage Phillies card, or a Phillies player from every vintage card set. That's what I'm working on. And an individual elderly gentleman who's selling cards always has great cards there. Had this loose one for, $20. I got this one. 1940 play ball, Pinky May. Now, why I say this was a generous price is because I've been looking online for slabbed versions of these kind of cards, and every slabbed version of a 40 play ball has been going for like $75-$80 in any condition, just that it was slabbed. And I got this for $20. So the $20 slabbing fee, thereabouts, I'm going to be able to come back on the good end of getting this one slabbed up and added to my collection. So that was a no-brainer. Then another guy told me a story. He had a lot of, these are, I'll show it in a second, 1950 Bowman cards. He had said he had just bought an entire collection, saved maybe one or two cards, and what he didn't know when he bought the collection was that about a third of them were autographed. So I picked up two Philly players from the 50 Bowman set, Bob Miller and Bill Nicholson. These guys were both on the 1950 Whiz Kids team. But they're little 1950 Hall of Fame, not Hall of Fame, but 1950 Bowmans that are actually autographed. So these will go in my autograph collection. Really cool, I thought. Then that was all I got at the show. Then moved over to the YouTube gathering. Now, I did not film at the show, but I'm going to put a link to Cardboard Coach Neal, and Ray from Philly were the organizers of the event. Shout out to Coach Neal because he was there. I'm disappointed that Ray wasn't able to be there. I really wanted to say hi to Ray. Haven't had a chance to do that in my YouTubing journey, but give me 1 second. I'm going to turn the camera away for a second because I got to blow my nose. So you can just take a look at the rest of my card room while I, let loose on the honker here. Sorry about that. Things were starting to drip down the nose. Apologize for that. But again, Cardboard Coach Neal and Ray from Philly set it up. And a lot of great people were there. But check out Coach Neal's channel. I'll put a link in the description below. He has a much better showcase of stuff. Before I get to that, I do want to mention a couple other things about at the show. When I go to the show, typically I'll have two things with me. One is I'll have a lot of random slabs that I've acquired over the course of the year that I don't need. I don't want to keep. I want to sell, try and make some money. And I always drop those off to 4 Sharp Corners. They're always at the Philly show, and I just know that, because I'm not selling $1,000, $10,000 cards. I'm not selling cards that are worthy of an auction. At least that's my opinion. So I always drop them off at 4 Sharp Corners. They take what they think they can make a couple bucks on, and they put it up on eBay, and I get a couple bucks out of it. So I'm always happy with that. Today or yesterday when I was walking around, or not yesterday, Saturday, when I was walking around, I'm looking for certain people. I'm looking to see, do I know anybody? This was the first time somebody came up to me. Actually, Mike, Vincent Composer, shout out to Mike. He was at the YouTube meet and greet. Shout out to Mike. He actually came up to me. That's the first time somebody recognized me as I'm walking the floor and came up and said hello. I've come up to other people, said hello. They then recognized me. We talked. But this is the first time somebody came up to me, which was kind of cool, and said, "Hey, RJ." That was kind of neat. But I'm walking the floor looking to see if I know anybody. I was searching the floor for two people, assuming they were there. I had heard Mike, when I was talking to Mike, told me that he saw Dan from Dan's Vintage Baseball PC. So I thought he meant that Dan was set up somewhere. So I was looking for Dan. The other one was I was wondering if Chris Sewell, baseball card collector, dealer, investor, in that order, I was wondering if he might have set up, because I think he lives down in the Washington, D.C. metro area. Might be Virginia, might be Maryland, might be D.C. proper, but he's down in that neck of the woods somewhere. And I thought he might come up for the Philly show, so I was like walking the halls looking for him. Then also, I'm, in addition to selling some slabs, I'm also dropping off a stack of cards to be graded. There's a company that I use called Nash Cards. They're local. They're real close to the Philly show. They're real close to where I work, so that's why I use them as my broker to slab cards. And I took a set of cards, dropped it off with them to be graded. That's the first thing I did. Then I'm walking around looking for people, and I was going to stop at Four Sharp Corners, but I came upon a booth that I know. I shouldn't say that I know, but people who were running this booth that, if you're a collector, a longtime YouTuber, you know. So it wasn't Chris Sewell, but it was his partner, Jeremy Dotson, the Texas Snowman. And he was there with his collector investor auction house. And I stopped to say hi, because he and I had a nice lengthy conversation back at the Cleveland YouTube gathering. And I reminded him of that. And he remembered me right away. So, and I was telling him, I was like, "Great to see you guys. Where's Chris?" Oh, Chris had a conflicting thing. He couldn't be there. I said, "You came all the way from Texas and Chris couldn't come." Blah, blah, blah. Just a lot of little banter back and forth. And then I mentioned to him that I was, on my way to Four Sharp Corners to drop off some cards. And he said, "Well, I'll sell them for you." I said, "No, you don't understand. These are like, $5, $10 cards. There's really no value in what I have. They're all slabbed, yeah, but there's really nothing that's of any really real worth." He says, "I don't care. Let me see what you got." So I handed them over to him. He went through them, and we agreed. He said, "Sure, I'll take them." So I said, "Absolutely. I love to support your organization. I definitely want to, somewhere in the future, I want to bid on something, but I'm not in a position to do that at the moment. But sure, if you want to sell them for me, I'll let you." And we did. Took a while to get everything, everything's done with apps these days, so to get everything filled out and set and uploaded, it took a while, but I was happy to have him be the person I'm going through now instead of Four Sharp Corners. And maybe sometime in the future, as I begin to sell off more stuff, I'll use them. So, shout out to CIA Auctions, both Chris and Jeremy. Shout out to you guys. I'm happy to partake in your one of your upcoming auctions. So thank you guys for doing that for me. And then as I was walking, I ran into Cardboard Coach Neal out on the floor. Had a nice conversation with him. Obviously, we'll see him later at the YouTube meet and greet. But I also ran into Dan, but not in a booth. Dan was not there manning a booth and selling. He was just walking the floor too. And I ran into him over at Howard's booth. Now, I don't know Howard, never had talked to Howard, but Dan was talking to Howard there, and I got into a conversation, and it eventually spilled over to Howard. So it was nice for me to get to meet Howard and Dan in person. So that was a lot of fun. And then again, we went to the YouTube meet and greet. Now, I was hoping for a lot of people. I really was. I was hoping for 50, 100 people, something like that. The kind of stuff you see at the National. Now, obviously, the National is much more well attended, but still, there's a lot of people in the Northeast who go to the Philly show. I thought more YouTubers would be there. Again, take a look at Cardboard Coach Neal's channel. He has it all up there on video, everything that he did. There were less than 10 of us. I'm sad to say. I wish there was more, but there were less than 10. We had a lot of fun. I mean, we talked for a while. Everybody was talking cards and collecting history and whatnot. And I'm not going to go through all the different names. I do want to show a couple things. So I sat for a while with Brian, High Pop Professor. There's Brian's little YouTube card. And I was handing out my own YouTube channel card to everybody. So I hung with him for a while. I hung with Mike, the vintage composer. Like I said, I saw him on the floor. I hung with him for a while. Another guy who was handing out things. Well, Brian was handing out freebies to everybody. Brian is a big Greg Maddox collector. And he was just handing out random Greg Maddox cards to everybody who showed up. So I got this one. It's a Pinnacle release. 1998, I think. 96, I'm not sure. It's hard for me to read the copyright date. It's kind of small. It's a insert, excellent essence of the game, because it's numbered to 18 cards. Number 2 of 18 on the back there. It's the clear acetate finish. So thank you, Brian, for handing that out. And then there was I want to say his name was Mike, but Mr. October collector, because he's a Reggie fan, so he hands me the Reggie Kmart thing. I didn't want to spoil it for him, let him know I'm working on the PSA registry set of this, and I got dozens of these, but it was nice. I mean, a free card of a Hall of Famer, never turned down that, right? So, there were 10 of us. We all were chatting. Check out Cardboard Coach Neal's video. I'm going to link it below. He has a much better presentation about everybody who was there. Goes through their channel names, and we all introduce ourselves. Check out that video. Slowly, we were supposed to be there from 5:30 to 8:30, to 10. Like the show ended at 5. The gathering was supposed to start at 5:30 and go until the bar closed at 10. Truth is, with just 10 people there, less than 10 people there, a couple of the people started dwindling after maybe an hour, a couple more an hour after that. But me and Brian, High Pop Professor, and then Mike, the vintage composer, we stayed till 8:30 just yapping and talking. So that was a lot of fun. I'm happy to have spent some time with those guys. Very happy. So that was the first Philly show meet and greet. Again, check out Cardboard Coach Neal's video. He had a much greater video than I did. I took maybe one video and I took some pictures. In fact, at the end of this video, I'll attach the picture, the group photo. And again, still, I mean, Neal had it on his video. You'll see it. Please watch Neal's video. He does a much better job filming the show than I do. I always think it's silly to film a show, mostly because we've all walked the floors. We know what a show looked like. This show versus the next year's show versus 10 years ago, they're really all pretty much the same, so I never bother to film shows so much. But the UT meet and greet, I'm glad Neal made some video about that, so we can share with you guys. So check out his channel. That's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed that. Come back again on Wednesday for another great trivia and prizes to give away. I hope to see you there. Check out everybody else's channel as well. Thanks for watching. Take care.